I will welcome everyone to this engagement forum of the Veterans Community Action Network of South Central Wisconsin, VetsCAN. If you're not familiar with us, we are a volunteer organization and we are a 501c3 uh, Community Veteran Engagement Board associated with the Madison VA Hospital. Organizations like ours exist across the country to support um, the VA hospital and provide community education to learn about how to bridge the services that VA may not be able to provide to veterans, but uh, finding out where those services may exist in the community and how to deliver those services to veterans in need. Um, so um, with that, I'm going to recognize just a couple of our board members that we've got on. I welcome you. I'm Kathy Still. I'm the president of our board of directors. Keith Lang is on the call, is on the line. He is our vice president. And we have Will Funmaker on the phone. He is one of our newest board members. So I want to welcome you. This today, our featured topic is transportation for veterans. So this is transportation for medical appointments. We'll get an overview and then have time for questions related to that. One thing I want to announce, just kind of running up to the start time here, and Connie, I don't know if you were on the line for that, the Military and Family Research Institute at Purdue University just announced or published, issued its communities report. And so that's very exciting. They've changed the cadence of the release of this report to being at this time of year. I think normally or in past years, they've released it later in the year. But they're moving to a springtime release. And so we've got that report. We'll be pushing that out in our next newsletter, which I anticipate is going to hit the street probably after Memorial Day, during that last week of May. And
Kathy, do you know if the MFRI has already done its video presentation? I registered
yes,
that,
and that was today. That was
okay.
just
Thanks.
yeah. So I don't know if there's a recording of that they'll have available because that was a live stream on, I thought they said on YouTube. So I imagine they
it
had
will be eventually, yeah.
a video of that, but the report is now available. It's on the streets, and if I had my notes available where I just wrote down, they covered 5 areas: medical care, behavioral health care, legal support, K through 12 education, and this would be for military families, and then post-secondary education for veterans. So we'll look forward to diving into the details of that, and then following up with some deep dives from MFRI related to Wisconsin, but that's in the future and something to look forward to. If you're not familiar with the MFRI, the Military Family Research Institute at Purdue University, they have previously done their, I keep calling it the Communities Report, and it's got a longer name than that. But for the past 2 years, then they've done a special presentation hosted by jointly VetsCAN and the Wisconsin Department of Veterans Affairs, where they have provided a deep dive into the data collected in Wisconsin related to those reports. And so we've gotten some valuable insights from them in the past and will continue to do so in the future. So normally on these forums, we have announcements from our friends at the VA hospital and then the Wisconsin Department of Veterans Affairs. We also invite anyone else on the line to make announcements or share insights from their organizations before we get into our featured topic. So we have Lupe on the phone today from the VA hospital to provide us those updates. So Lupe, go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm happy to be here on behalf of the Madison VA, and of course, Abe wishes he could be here with us today too. So just a couple of updates from the facility. One, as I'm sure you're all aware, we are still navigating the new executive orders and implementation and how that impacts our operation, and probably most significantly waiting for more information regarding the reorganization plans and things that will come down from the agency. Still quite a few unknowns, but we are really kind of laser focused on supporting our staff and supporting our veterans as we navigate the uncertainty. So holding steady here and doing all of those things, no immediate changes or anything that I can report for now. Looking outside my window, we also have our City of Madison construction project that is happening right outside our main entrance, affecting Highland Avenue and the Campus Drive ramps. That started on Monday. My colleagues are on. Jim Bove and his team did a fantastic job helping us gear up our communications to make sure our veterans were aware of the impact. So far this week, I don't want to jinx anything, but things have been okay. But we are routing traffic a little bit differently. There's a couple of alternate routes to get folks in and out of the hospital. So we're going to continue to communicate that change through our mailings. It's up on our VA Madison website. Looks like Jim is sharing information for us now. As we go through this summer, we do expect there to be slightly greater impact, probably late June through July. So we will continue to communicate that best we can to all of our stakeholders so we can all navigate in and around the hospital. And then finally, our Fisher House project, though I don't have any exciting dates or firm timelines, I can confidently say we continue to make progress and move forward and are really excited that we have that momentum going, but still nothing firm to report there. And that's really all I have. I'm excited that I do have several of my colleagues that are here with us to talk about transportation and share more updates. So thank you for inviting us and giving us the opportunity to share some of the things that we're doing.
Thanks, Lupe. And any questions? All right, then Joey, what's new at WDVA?
Well, for, budget all the time for us, state budget. Some good news and bad news. The good news is that, when Joint Finance took things out of the budget that they said, they always have a list of things that can never be brought back. And none of WDVA's information was, or proposals were in that list of things that could not be discussed or tried to bring back. The bad news is that they returned the budget to base, which means that all of the governor's proposals for additional funding for programs are at this point out again. As I mentioned on the last call, we're really pushing hard for the Veterans Outreach and Recovery Program, VORP, which provides mental health, intervention on the ground, trying to keep those extra ARPA positions funded once the ARPA money goes away. And then Unfortunately, the proposal to double the amount of money that WDVA grants to counties for medical transportation, the governor was going to double the amount of that grant, and that is also out for now. We will be trying to get them to put it back in when JFC takes up our budget, but yeah, I don't know how hard a lift that's going to be this time around, trying to get anything put back into the budget. So other than that, we're gearing up for Memorial Day. Lots of activities, at the 3 cemeteries we operate, and the secretary is out trying to, continue engagement with CVSOs, TVSOs, and VSOs, really hitting the road and putting a lot of miles, but meeting with people, and that's working out well, I think. So those are my updates, and if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to try and answer.
Did I see that Secretary Bond recently completed like his second visit or second kind of tour of all 72 counties and CVSOs?
He has gotten to all 72 CVSOs this for a second time. We're not complete on the TVSOs. We haven't been able to, but very close to a full sweep for a second time since becoming secretary. So yeah, he's really trying to engage, staying connected and engaged. So we're pleased, and the things we're hearing from people have resulted in some proposed changes to rules and things. So we're really trying to keep that up. So thank you, anyone on the call who might have helped with any of that. So
So any questions for Joey? So you mentioned, Joey, the DVA's Memorial Day ceremonies, and I know you've got those at the cemeteries, and we don't have a state cemetery or a DVA cemetery here in Madison. But for those of you in Madison, I'll put in a plug for my Legion Post's Memorial Day ceremony. And that will be for those of you, especially if you're on the west side, at Sunset Memorial Garden. That's the big cemetery along Mineral Point Road. That'll be on Monday, Memorial Day at 2 p.m. And our guest speaker, or the keynote, will be delivered by retired Major General Marsha Anderson. So I think there are other, Memorial Day ceremonies around the city, but wanted to put that plug in. Now, I see we've got a couple of other events coming up. So Jim,
Before we
you were
get too
first.
far, Kathy, I
Oh,
have a
oh,
question
yeah.
for Joey.
Oh,
if I could.
oh, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Joey, sometimes I need something explained to me 2 different ways. So when you say we've gone back to base for the budget, that means the 1.2 million for VORP was taken out and has to be fought for again? Is that what that means?
yes, it does. Yeah, was the bad news. The good news was that they didn't put it on the list of the things that we couldn't try and to put back into the budget. And there was a couple hundred items that the governor proposed that they said you can't even propose putting them back in the budget. So
Wow. Where do we find that kind of list?
I can send, well, it's a lot of info, but I will send it to you guys, and maybe you can share it with the group if you want. Yeah, I've got a sort of a place where you can find and describes what goes on.
Okay, thanks so much, Joe.
You're welcome.
So Jim, do you want to go ahead and talk about upcoming events, or would that be Joe, Jim, you guys fight it out? Hall of Heroes induction.
Sure, I'll jump in. We have a Hall of Heroes induction a week from tomorrow. That's Friday, going into Memorial Day. For those of you unaware, it is we do this twice a year, typically, and usually one induction around Memorial Day, one around Veterans Day. We actually have a virtual Hall of Heroes, so you can go through and see them all online too. I'll drop the link in the chat. But we are inducting Private First Class Dennis Stoppelworth, who was killed in action in Vietnam. His brother is driving up from Georgia to be with us. He's got a list of about 18 friends and family members he's coming with. But it's next Friday, 11 o'clock at the hospital auditorium. So if you're in the area and you have time, we'd love to have you there and help us induct them. And it's going to be a tearjerker. I can almost guarantee it.
Right.
And then also, we don't have anything published. We're actually working on finalizing the details. We have a Women Veterans Day event on June the 12th. And I was actually looking up the location because it is, Joe, if you're on here, go ahead and help me out if you have it off the top of your head. But we'll be shooting out some information about that very shortly.
Yep, that'll
And
be
that's on,
in Middleton. I'll post information on the location.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
any other events that you want to highlight from the hospital? Joe or Jim?
Let's see. The stripper's name Cinderella. What might she bring on stage with her?
I'm not sure what
I
that
don't know.
was. So Tom Parr, you posted about the icebreaker for the Fisher House. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah,
event.
so the Wisconsin Vets Chamber's partnering with Fisher House, Wisconsin to fire up their capital campaign to build the Fisher House here in the Dane County area. It's going to be on Thursday, the 4th of September from 4 to 6 p.m. Central Time. I just sent the link from the Fisher House to register. It's $25 for one ticket, $45 for two. Right now, we're shooting for around $30,000 worth of sponsorships, and we got a little over 4K. So we're working, but if you can push that out, that'd be great. And Kathy, I think I already gave you graphics on pushing that out on the VetsCAN scenario, but I think it could be a big deal. Thanks.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, and we've got that posted on our event calendar on our website, along with a number of other events. So if you've not checked out the VetsCAN's website and our calendar of events, please do that. And you can find details about the Fisher House, Wisconsin icebreaker event, as well as a number of other events going on around the area. And now, are there any other announcements from anyone else on behalf of your organizations? All right. Well, hearing nothing, we will move on then to our featured topic, and that being transportation services. And so, Lupe, were you going to start that, or is Liana going to start that, or I'll just turn it over to you.
Yeah, I can kick it off and just introduce. So I did invite Liana Torres, who's our Chief of Health Administration Service, who oversees our transportation program. And Judy Green is with us. She is co-presenting with Liana today to share some information about our eligibility and our payment and reimbursement processes. And then Joe will take it from there. So Joe Naylor is also with us, and we'll talk a little bit about the DAV side of things and the volunteer driver program. And then we'll try to address any questions we can after giving you kind of a very high level overview of our programs. So Liana and Judy, if you're ready, the stage is yours. I see that they're on.
Yeah, and we had a mic check before, so they're
Hi.
There she is.
Sorry about that. So this is Liana again. Judy will be presenting for me because my voice is a little bit still gone. I was just I have a new computer and then the screens are goofy. So I'm working here on sharing this. I think it's this one. Yeah.
Can everybody see the screen?
I can see the screen. Hoping everyone.
Yeah, looks good, Judy.
Not sure exactly if they can see this full version of the power of the presentation or just the.
Liana, we're seeing your slide with your slide bar to the left. We're not. seeing
Yeah,
the
and then
full
usually
screen.
when you press F5, you can see the whole thing, but it's not trying to, I'm not able to do this here. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, something is not working here.
We're probably good to go from here if you guys just want to.
Yeah, sorry about that.
All right, Veterans Transportation Services. Next slide, please. All right, we'll be going over the beneficiary travel eligibility, the mode of transportation and pre-authorization requirements for special mode transportation and common carrier, claims payment and mileage reimbursement, which is mileage reimbursement and common carrier, which is BTS 3, ambulance claim, non-emergent medical transport, stretcher vans, wheelchair vans with medical attendants. Next slide, please. All right, here are the eligibilities for beneficiary travel. A veteran may be eligible for travel benefits if they are 30% service connected or more, traveling for treatment of a service connection disability, veterans receiving a VA pension. Their income does not exceed the annual maximum pension rate, or if they're traveling for a scheduled compensation and pension exam at the VA facility. Appointments in the community will be done by the contractor and mileage check will be mailed. And if they are traveling to obtain a service dog under 38 Code of Federal Regulations, 17.148, without regard to whether the veteran meets any of the above eligibility criteria. So these are all ways that veterans will be eligible for travel benefits. But that's not it. There's more to this. Next slide, please. The other individual that can be eligible for travel benefits would be allied beneficiaries when authorized by appropriate foreign government agencies. Certain non-veterans when related to care of beneficiary travel eligible veterans, which are caregivers under the National Caregiver Program, medically required attendants, and VA transplant care donor and support person. Next slide, please. All right, these are the mode of transport and consults requirement. The first one will be the special mode transportation, which follows under ground ambulance, air ambulance, non-emergent transport, which are wheelchair van, ambulance stretcher vans, ambulatory and in need of attendant during transport. Additional eligibility requirement beyond basic BT eligibility or medical necessity documented by a VA clinician providing medical, physical, or mental limitation that requires the use of the SMT mode prescribed. Next slide, please. Next one would be the common carrier, which common carrier are public transportation over land, water, or air, such as bus, subway, taxi, rideshare, train, and airplane, for a set rate that is not rental vehicle or a special mode transportation. It's used when POV is not accessible or medically indicated by a clinician, or payment made on reimbursement basis with receipt. VA may coordinate on behalf of veterans if requested due to demonstrated inability to defray the upfront cost of travel to care. The decision should be held at supervisory level and used as last resort. No other mode of transportation is available and VA's required care is significant distant. Veteran informed of recapture consequences if fails to complete appointments or notify VA to cancel to avoid cost. Use most economical means based on veteran's medical condition. So for claims payment and mileage reimbursement, one section of it is the VA pays. VA pays for pre-approved special mode transportation, which is an ambulance, ambulette or stretcher, air ambulance and wheelchair van, and pre-approved common carrier. The last one is emergency medical transportation if the care is approved by the Office of Community Care, which is OCC. And then the other part for the mileage reimbursement part. So the top part, the mileage reimbursement for the use of private vehicles, that's what veterans receive. So they receive 41.5 cents per mile. We pay the distance to the closest VA facility that can provide the necessary care. Schedule appointment qualified for round trip mileage. Unscheduled visits are limited to one-way mileage reimbursement only, such as emergency departments. Common carrier reimbursements with receipts. The veteran pays would be the subject to the following deductible until a monthly cap of $18 or $6 one-way or 3 round, whichever occurs first. So the $3 for each is one-way trip or $6 for each round trip. Next page, please. All right, veteran transportation services. So both are here at the main hospital. I'm just gonna start with VTS first, which is the Veteran Transportation Service Hospital. No cost transportation service provided by participating VA medical center using VA employee and VA owned wheelchair vans. This is not required beneficiary travel eligibility and uses a priority scheduling system to maximize resources. Veterans can call the phone number listed 608-256-1901 at extension 11919. If they're gonna make the phone call, we recommend that the request is sent out 72 hours prior to the VA appointment. And from experience, I have seen where people call on the same day and try to expect a ride. That's not how that works. We highly recommend the 72 hours. For the Disabled American Veterans, which is also known as the DAV, they're nonprofit charity. They operate with volunteer drivers. Their only eligible requirement is a scheduled medical appointment, and the veteran must be able to get in and out of the vehicle by themselves. No wheelchair assistant. And then the phone number to get a hold of DAV would be the 608-256-1901 at extension 17019. I am going to be heading over to Joe now, and he will present the next slide.
Thank you, Judy. Good afternoon, everybody. Good to see everyone. Just to bookend this presentation, we'll provide a little bit of information on our DAV program here at Madison, what we're offering here, some of our statistics. As you can see, we currently have 10 dedicated vans that provide assistance and pick up and drop off services to veterans in our 19 county catchment area. We currently employ 45 volunteer drivers. All have been vetted and maintain their status as an eligible volunteer here at the hospital. On average, we transport about 175 veterans a month and average roughly 18,000 miles during that given month. Annually, we average around 216,000 miles, which is quite a bit. You can see there the counties that we provide services in: Columbia, Dane, Grant, Jefferson, Richland, Rock, and Winnebago. And those service days are consistent Monday through Friday, all year long. Next slide, please. So here's information for our DAV office. We have an office on the first floor with the number of volunteers from the DAV that respond to transportation requests. If anyone is interested in becoming a part-time, full-time driver for DAV, there's information there. There's also information on our website. If you are interested in becoming a volunteer driver, I'll share that link in the chat. Pretty simple process. Requirements for our volunteer drivers are to submit an application package, pass a physical, and complete a basic background check. This is specific to the DAV program. I also do want to mention that we have a number of counties that also employ fleet vehicles. So they manage a vehicle or vehicles in addition to the DAV to provide transportation to ambulatory veterans here to the hospital, to and from. So those programs are managed by the individual county veteran service officers, and those drivers still need to be vetted through our process. But we have probably at least 3 counties right now that have their own independent transportation that they offer, in addition to the DAV and the program and VTS. So that really kind of summarizes what we have, what we're offering through DAV right now. The DAV program, those are all donated vehicles and are managed by our fleet service and maintenance and so on and so forth. So that's the summary on our DAV. We're grateful for that partnership. I know you're all familiar with it, with the DAV, but they've been wonderful partners since I've been in this role and going well beyond 15 years I've been here at the hospital. So very consistent and just wonderful people to work with and a wonderful organization. So that's what I have, Judy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. So this is Liana again. So I just wanted to recap a little bit because I think we're sending you the slide deck after the call. And then if you're looking at this later, I always like to explain what the difference is between special mode transportation and common carrier, because special mode transportation, even though veterans that have very obvious disabilities, they still need to talk to their VA provider to put in a referral, which is also known as a consult, for us to be authorized to provide that special mode transportation that requires medical attendance for them. And then the other thing is, and then common carrier is nothing else but the use of their private vehicle or taxis or buses or even trains or airplanes, but we're not talking about the need for a medical attendant. However, if when the veterans don't have the means to pay for the cost up front, then there's an administrative eligibility for that, and then there's a medical eligibility for that, and that will require a licensed independent practitioner here at the VA. They're usually the primary care provider that can put in that referral for them. And this can also, we partner with the social work services, and they can assist veterans in obtaining navigating through these resources, and then how to obtain prior authorization so they can we can facilitate that transportation for their medical appointments. And in regarding to the payments, which is also something that is somehow confusing sometimes. People are I put it we put it in a way that is more clear. What do we pay here upfront? And then when is the veteran going to pay upfront and then receive reimbursement? And so those are listed here that you can review. If you have any questions, this will be the time to let us know.
Okay, thank you. So I know that Connie's got a couple of questions.
Leanna, thanks so much. Oops, wait a minute. I am on audio, okay. I had occasion to be on the phone earlier today with Milwaukee VA, and I learned about TransStar. And they do a lot of their transportation work from as far away as Appleton to get folks into Milwaukee for services they offer there. Is transport from Madison to Milwaukee possible for services that aren't available here in Madison?
That's a very good question, Connie. We try to facilitate transportation as much as we can. Milwaukee has a wonderful contract with TransStar, and they provide transportation for their catchment areas. We try to engage into that contract with them, but unfortunately, TransStar is not able to serve our population because they're limited to the areas that belong to Milwaukee's catchment area. However, if Madison refers a veteran to services that are not available here, and their Milwaukee accepts, that is called an inner facility consult. If Milwaukee accepts that consult, Milwaukee sends TransStar to Madison to pick up that veteran. No, not Madison, but to their, to where the veteran is.
Okay, thank you very much. The other question I would have, if it's okay if I ask too.
Sure.
I do a lot of work with the Madison VA's mental health intensive case management office, community support program that's located down on West Washington with the housing, supportive housing folks. One thing that I've heard them repeatedly say is that for MHICM associated veterans, no transportation to most of their programs and appointments is available. Are we sure they know about all the options they have? Because when veterans with severe and persistent mental illness have trouble with transportation, they're not going to make it to these programs, which are pretty important to them. Well, they're vital to their care.
Oh, and then that's another great question. So when we are talking about how we schedule the services in Madison, which is the only one that we had the latitude to control, we try to maximize it as much as we can. It's on a first come in, first serve basis. Because once we secure transportation for somebody, we don't get the veteran out of the ride. So which is why we ask for the 72 hours in advance. But when it comes to maximizing resources, we prioritize medical appointments to facilitate the access for care. And it's really hard for us to engage into other things like even medical appointments in the community, utilizing our transportation services, because it gets our drivers out of the catchment area, and it's really difficult for us to support that. So, but they can always reach out to social work, because social work, they have a more broad knowledge of what's out there in the community, in the counties, that they have things available for transportation too.
This is, and I don't want to take up more time with this, but I appreciate that answer, Liana. And I'm hoping, Lupe, that at some point, maybe the three of us can talk about this, because I'm not sure I understand yet why veterans who need a mental health intensive case management treatment appointment are told that transportation is not available to the MHICM site on West Washington Street, which is just an extension program. So I don't want to beat the horse here, but Lupe, if you and I could chat about
and
it.
this is something that maybe we haven't completely look at all the angles to see if we are able to provide any assistance. I can tell you that right now I just received a certificate of 2 applicants for vacancies for drivers. So we are trying to maximize our resources. That is something that we do have the Veteran Advisory Board for transportation. and which we have like a few disciplines of the hospital. Our chief of staff is involved, our nursing leadership is involved, and we do have different focus groups throughout the year looking at how to maximize transportation, because we do realize that it is something that veterans really need.
All right, well, thank you so much. It was a good briefing and I appreciate the responses.
Sure.
And I'm certainly happy to talk more, Connie, at any time. We can kind of work through some more specifics.
Okay, I appreciate that. They've got by the way, they have a new psychiatrist now for that program. He just started this past week, I think, Dr. Danny Town. So he may have an interest in the upshot of these conversations as well to help his veterans get to where they need to be at West Wash. So thanks, Lupe.
Are there other questions? Okay.
Okay, since I'm asking.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
With Joey always sitting in, and if we could take down that PowerPoint screen, I could see who else is sitting in again, if possible. Joey, you're still here. So from DVA's perspective, is there anything you'd add to this briefing on transportation?
Well, we, as I mentioned earlier, we're trying to get the legislature to increase the funding that we provide to counties. It's not a lot of money, but it is enough that some counties have their own programs to transport veterans to medical appointments. There's a weird intersection between DAV's program. The way the state law is written, we cannot offer the service to a county that DAV makes regularly scheduled stops in. So we are trying to coordinate with DAV so that that they are that they use their resources strategically and we do the same. I'm not suggesting that they wouldn't visit a county, but if they're not being able to serve people very well in a county, maybe it's best if the county's willing to do the transportation themselves. But it's very complicated because it's decentralized, and trying to figure that out has proven somewhat difficult. Again, we proposed doubling that amount of money. The governor put that in the budget, but they've taken that out. We're going to try and get someone to put it back in, but I don't know if that'll happen.
Thank you very much.
So I don't see any other questions? So I think we'll be ending early today. Oh, did you just post that, Joey?
Yeah, sorry, I figured
That
out
big
how to use the chat. So that's the info on the budget, the list of all the things that JFC removed, which include things in every agency. Things like the property tax credit extension down to 70%, that also got removed from the budget. I think the UW missing in action funding was removed from the budget. I think both of those might be standalone bills, but a lot of that stuff. And then the second link in there is the governor's proposed WDVA budget, so specific to WDVA. And there were 4 programs that they added to that list. So there are 4 things we won't be arguing to try and get back in because we can't, but it does not include our VORP and VHRP additional funding for that.
So, okay.
Sorry.
So at the end of the 4 bulleted items at the end of your chat message, are those the things that cannot be brought back or put back into the budget?
Yes, those are the
Okay.
4 items that they don't want to talk about and won't allow the Democrats to even put in a motion. You know, they can't even propose putting it back in the budget. The legislature works in,
Yeah, that mental
Interesting
health grant
process.
program is a big deal, I think, anyway. They put
What's that?
together the mental health grant program. One of the outcomes of last year's rounds of grants was the Fire Watch program, which Rogers Behavioral Health put together. And I gather the VetsCAN is going to have a briefing about that program next month. So that's just one example of a program that came about because of the mental health grant program.
yeah, that was, the governor had proposed $5 million for mental health grants, community-based, similar to the ARPA dollars, but the ARPA dollars are going to be gone. So that grant program we've been running will come to an end, unfortunately.
And Joey, as far as kind of timing of the budget and when it'll be wrapped up and when, is there I mean, will it be by the 1st of July or what do the tea leaves say?
People seem to be all over the map on it this year. There's the ongoing fight about the governor's veto powers. There's a court case coming down about the habit that the legislature has of approving money and then making it dependent on JFC saying yes at a future date. That may be held as unconstitutional. So it may, if that decision, which the people expect to come out before the budget would be passed, it may force the majority party to try and write the budget in a different way. So we may not have a budget by July 1st this time.
Okay. And as as we're wrapping up here, our next engagement forum will be June 19th, and the Rogers Behavioral Health Fire Watch program is the featured topic that we'll get more information on. So you know, join us for that. And this is the last opportunity for anybody to say anything before we sign off. If there's nothing, thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great information. Thanks.